Hey, what's up, everyone? A couple of things. Number one, please excuse my dirty fingertips. Um, my wife and I are in the habit of trying to pay cash whenever possible, and we save our change that we get back from the store. I go through it as a coin collector. Sometimes I find some decent stuff I just throw aside, and of course, I always like to pull the copper out. Now, it's been a while since I've gone to the bank and pulled out a $25 box of pennies because I'm finding that the banks don't really have them very often or at all, and they look at me like I'm crazy, thinking, you're not getting a $25 box. Now, it's been about maybe 2 months since I've tried, so I might be trying soon, but enough of that. What I did do today, though, was go through a whole bunch of coins that we've collected over the last month or so. So, as you can imagine, all different, pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters. And in that bag, there were 113 pennies. So 113 pennies. Of the 113 pennies, 102 were, zinc pennies, which I roll up and send back to the bank. And right here we have the copper that I save in a big bucket. I only had 11 copper out of 113. Comes to 10.2%. I remember about 8 or 9 years ago when I used to start saving copper pennies, I would probably hit close to 30% quite often. Going through $25 boxes of pennies, or even if I had a bunch of random pennies, I'd get like 30%. Right now, I'm down to 2.2%. And I have to be honest with you, I think that this might be a better indicator of just how many copper pennies are floating around in circulation percentage wise, because sometimes I've gotten some very interesting boxes of pennies. Well, sometimes you get the boring ones where everything is uncirculated, so those aren't any good to me. But then sometimes I've gotten boxes where there's been like collection dumps, and I'm getting like 100 wheat pennies in them, and then the occasional Indian head and lots of Canadians. So sometimes they can be skewed if you have one person dumping a whole bunch of wrapped coins that they've had a long time. Now, in this case, I think that this is actually pretty representative of what's out there because we have pennies that we acquired gradually from probably dozens of trips to the store, from a geographic area that is more than just a bank. It's lots and lots of stores and merchants that we've gone to, and it's happened again over the course of several weeks and maybe a month or two. So between it not being just one bank at one time and possibly skewed by one or two depositors, this is something that is, kind of like a very small sampling from a whole lot of places over an extended period of time. And I'm only coming up with 10.2%. So, kind of interesting to see that there's only 10.2% of the pennies I got are copper versus 89.8% zinc. So I'm thinking that a lot of people are pulling out those copper pennies, and I don't blame you. I am myself. But it also makes you think that not going to be that many around anymore. And for that matter, usually if I'd go through 1 or 200 pennies like I just did now, I might pull out a wheat penny. I didn't pull out any. And again, like with the wheat pennies too, when I was going in boxes, I would typically not find as many. Even Canadians. I can't remember the last time I pulled a Canadian penny out, and I think the reason why is because quite a few of them were made out of copper, and there's actually a little bit more copper in most Canadian pennies than there are in most of the older U.S. pennies. So current scrap value on these is about 3.1 cents, I believe, and I believe the Canadian pennies are just a hair higher at about 3.2, 3.3 cents. Don't hold me to that. Check out coinapps.com or coinflation.com or something. But for those of you who have slowed down your copper hunting, or who are saying, I'm going to try copper hunting and see, if I can find anything good, you need to get your rear end in gear and start going because there's not really as much available. I mean, I was getting 25, 30% before. Now I just get 10.2%. And, for a while, I mean, even just going back, I mean, I saw it going into like the 20s and the high teens. Another funny thing, slightly off topic, was nickels. I would find lots of nickels, believe it or not, from 1938 to like 1960. It was a pretty common occurrence for me to get, a few handfuls of change from some stores and pick out a couple of, like, 1950 something nickels or 1940 something nickels, even the occasional war nickel. Or, it's really cool. You pick out like a 38 or a 39. Not getting any of those anymore. I was actually just shocked because out of about, oh, maybe 35 nickels that I received one from 1955, and I was shocked that there was a 1955 in there because it's become such a rare occurrence over the last couple of years. Like I said before, I used to do pretty well with nickel hunts, and right now, not so good anymore. So, if you go back into my older videos, I did one about Gresham's Law, good money drives out bad, um, or, the copper driving out the zinc, because scrap value on the zinc, believe it or not, is actually a little over a penny. Scrap value on this is 3.1. Copper has a lot more value than zinc, so people are pulling it out. Again, um, bad money driving out the good money. People are pulling it aside. So just a little heads up. I thought it was an interesting little factoid that I would share with you. And like I said, if you're copper hunting, keep it up. If you're not copper hunting, get started before it's an absolutely fruitless endeavor. Talk to you later.